So in this section, we're going to be going over all sorts of different textures and surfaces and how to paint them. But throughout this section, I want you to keep something in mind, and that is the idea that painting is problem solving, okay? We're going to be going over all sorts of different ways to paint metal, shiny surfaces, water, stuff like that, but that doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. Each image might have different requirements, and maybe the process I teach you in these lectures aren't the best way for your painting in every scenario. Which is why I say that painting is about problem solving. Now, imagine that you were doing a math problem and you were trying to figure it out and you couldn't quite figure out the equation. And so you kind of just guessed and made up some numbers and then told yourself, that's good enough, and moved on. Well, you would be wrong. The equation wouldn't add up and it wouldn't really make sense. Sure, it would have the appearance of an equation. It would have all the numbers filled in. There would be stuff in all the empty spaces, but it just wouldn't add up. The same thing is true with a painting. Sometimes when we come across a problem in a painting that we don't quite understand because we've never encountered it before, or we just haven't observed enough to really understand how it should be painted, we just kind of guess and make something up and fill in the spot and then call it good enough and move on. And what happens is our paintings end up looking amateurish. And even though we can look at the painting ourselves and know that, well, it doesn't quite look right, but I don't really know what else to do, so I'm going to keep it, we decide to do that anyways instead of really taking the time to try and fix it, which is why I say painting is problem solving. If you can keep that in mind as you're painting and realize that you can't really move on to the next part until you figure out how to solve this problem, your paintings are going to get a lot better. Now, it might be stressful at times, right? I've been there where I've been painting something and I know what I want it to look like in my head, but when I try and get it down on the canvas or on the paper or on the tablet, whatever it is, it doesn't look right. But instead of just moving on and being like, oh, well, good enough, when in reality it looks terrible, it's so much better to instead either look online, look in books, look at reference, and try and figure out how you can fix it and solve that problem so it looks right. So as I teach you these techniques, keep that in mind, that if you're painting something and this technique just isn't working for the scene you're trying to paint, don't just be like, whatever. Try and figure it out. Try and solve the problem. And using what you learned from these textures and these surfaces, you should be able to paint just about any texture and surface, even if I don't specifically show you how to paint it. So that's it for this lecture. I can't wait to show you more techniques. I'll see you guys in the next one.